Blog Talk Radio.
Franchise interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, you're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews. Welcome to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi everyone, and Happy New Year, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 10 years we've been asking the Franchpreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. Well, you may have heard the great expression, failing to plan is planning to fail. And in order to receive the capital you need to fund your business's growth, you must present an interested investor with a great pitch and a great plan. And today you're going to hear our interview with business plan expert Cheree Warrick, and she's going to talk about how business plans for your franchise or your business that actually get financed. And that's coming right up on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we have a great show.
The Stone Coat Franchise Opportunity. Are you looking for a unique and lucrative franchise opportunity? If so, take a look at Stone Coat. With a patented process which creates a true stone finish on almost any wall or ceiling, Stone Coat is a true game-changing product in the multi-billion-dollar construction industry. Stone Coat is applied faster, cleaner, and cheaper than conventional quarried stone, which saves both time and money. With advantages in remodel and new construction of both residential and commercial projects, Stone Coat is a true crossover product. The Stone Coat franchise opportunity provides a low startup cost, low operating expenses, comprehensive training, ongoing support, and no royalty payments. For more information on the Stone Coat franchise opportunity, go to www.stonecoatfranchise.com. That's www.stonecoatfranchise.com, or call us at 972-380-2700. That's 972-380-2700.
Franchise Teacher.
Would you like to know how to franchise your concept or grow your franchise business?
Meet the experts at Franchise Teacher.
The goal of Franchise Teacher is to teach, coach, consult, and advise. The team of experts at Franchise Teacher will evaluate your business model and present you with a winning business strategy.
Franchise Teacher will help you decide whether or not your concept works and if it's franchisable. Franchise Teacher is proud to have over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors.
Franchise Teacher are developers of over a dozen franchise systems, which include brick and mortar as well as home-based concepts of nearly 3,000 combined franchise locations.
Whether you need to add more units or get more customers, Franchise Teacher can help. We will teach.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn our proven system.
Coach.
Franchise Teacher will help you provide a game plan to succeed.
Consult.
Franchise Teacher will make sure you stay on track.
And advise.
Franchise Teacher will help you learn from our over 30 years of experience in franchising as both franchisees and franchisors. Take advantage of our free, no-obligation phone consultation. Simply go to franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
That's franchiseteacher.com or call us at 561-385-3032.
Hi, this is Connie McDermott, Administrative Assistant for Franchise Interviews, LLC, and you are listening to Franchise Interviews.
Franchise Interviews. From Easton, Pennsylvania to Sydney, Australia, You're listening to Franchise Interviews. Franchise Interviews.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over asking the Franchipreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, and I'm the president of Franchise Interviews. And as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Cheree Warrick, author of Creating Business Plans That Actually Get Financed. Hey, Cheree, how you doing today?
I'm well, Marty. How are you?
I'm doing well, Cheree. It's great to finally have you on the show. I'm so glad that you wrote this book. I thought we can dive right into it, Cheree. And, maybe you can tell us how you became an expert in the area of writing business plans to raise capital.
Sure. Well, the story is that I joined a family business in about 2007, and we did bookkeeping services, my mother and I, and we decided, or she decided, that she wanted to grow and expand the business, and she thought that she would want to get a business loan. Well, the first thing we had to do was write a business plan, and since I had the business degree, she said, "You've got that assignment," and I had never written one before. I'd written one, but not really for raising capital. So I started looking around for information in terms of how do you write a business plan that actually receives a yes.
Yes.
And the information was very limited in terms of how to do that. So I pulled together what I could. I showed it to a mentor of mine that was a 40-year veteran in terms of running businesses and raising capital. He said, make these few tweaks, and I did that, and the bank said it was one of the best business plans that they had ever read.
Wow.
After that point, I started raising money for my Chamber of Commerce, and I used the same information in order to do that. I started helping other companies, and I also started speaking with other consultants that raise capital as well and learning a lot more strategies and tactics for understanding what angel investors and banks and venture capitalists are looking for in business plans.
That's fantastic, Cheree. You're right. There's so much out there as far as, how to write a business plan. If you were to go to, Barnes & Noble, you see a dozen books. But, most of them, I suspect there's a lot of people out there that use those books, and then they go to a bank or an angel investor, and then they get a no. So I was so happy that you wrote this book on how to get a yes. I don't think there's a lot out there. I haven't seen a lot anyway, so I think it's fantastic. Many of our listeners, they've heard that banks aren't lending. Is that true, Cheree?
That is not true. However, it is much harder to get a loan today than it was 5 years ago. So we'll definitely be honest about that. There's also, within small businesses, there are 3 things that you need in order to get a bank to say yes. And the truth is, if you don't have all 3 of these things, you're not going to receive a yes. It doesn't matter how great your business plan is or if you're the next Google. It's not going to matter.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, Marty, I'll tell the audience those 3 things.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first one is good credit,
good
personal credit. The second is you need to have enough collateral, and that changes from bank to bank in terms of what they consider enough collateral to be. And then the third thing you need is cash flow. And notice I didn't just say cash, I said cash flow. You have to show that your business is going to bring in enough revenues every month in order to not only pay payroll and rent, but to also pay for your own personal bills and to pay the bank back. Because if the bank considers that at the end of the month you have a choice between paying the bank back or buying diapers for the baby, which one are you going to choose? You're going to choose your family every time.
Of course.
So those are the things that they're really looking for in order to feel comfortable.
That's great. So credit, collateral, and cash flow. Would you recommend, Cheree, that entrepreneurs get a copy of their credit report first? It sounds like so they know, what their credit score is before, they go through all the motions of writing a business plan to find out that their credit is bad.
I would suggest that. Plus, I would suggest they take that credit score or that credit information to their local commercial banker.
Okay.
Don't just go to the branch manager, but go to the person that actually sees what's getting funded and what's not getting funded. And show them your credit score and show them your assets and say, if I had this type of business, do you think your bank would, at least take a good hard look at it?
Sure.
Now, every bank has a portfolio of things that they invest in. So some of them like to be real estate heavy. Some of them like to be government contract heavy. So while I mentioned those three things, there are a lot of other factors that contribute as well. But sitting down with, like I said, that great commercial banker and laying it all out and being truthful and honest is one of the best ways that you can kind of figure out, okay, am I bankable, or am I going to have to go maybe the angel route or the crowdfunding route and raise money that way?
That's interesting, and I want to talk about that as well.
And Marty, I'm sorry, if you don't mind, I just want to throw in one statistic, and that is that there were over 5 million small business loans. That means loans under $1 million in 2011, and they rose in 2012. The government doesn't have the statistics yet because we're just in March of 2013, but I wanted to let you know 5 million small businesses did receive capital from banks.
Well, that's good to know, right? I mean, a lot of our listeners, too, I guess we can classify them as small businesses. A lot of our listeners are looking to buy like a Subway or a Dunkin' Donuts, or it could be a cleaning franchise, whatever that may be. So it's nice to know that it sounds like money is actually being invested in small startup businesses on an annual basis, Cheree. So I think that's fantastic. Why is it important for us as entrepreneurs to understand how to raise capital, Cheree?
Well, it's an evergreen skill, and what that means is it's just like knowing how to lead people or knowing how to balance your checkbook. It's something that if you don't have it, you're going to end up in a world of hurt. Most businesses fail because of cash flow issues. Even if they have a huge order out in the universe somewhere, they may not get paid fast enough in order to pay their payables. So knowing how to raise money is important for not only that purpose, but let's say that you're doing very well right now, but you want to go into another market. Let's say a franchisee wants to open up a second store, a third store, or a third location. But they can't necessarily use the cash flow from just the first store. Well, what are they going to do? And maybe they used all their personal credit and personal capital in order to get that first store up and running. Well, knowing how to raise money is how we're able to grow exponentially as small business owners.
That's fantastic, and it's important because a lot of our listeners, too, Cheree, they do want to expand at some point. Many of them out there, they don't just want to own that one unit, that one Subway, or that one pizza franchise. They do want to grow over time, So I think that's great advice. I'm curious what, some of the biggest mistakes entrepreneurs make when writing their business plans and presenting them to investors, Cheree.
Well, one of the first things I would say is put yourself in the shoes of that investor, okay? They've worked very hard in order to assemble, their money. And the average angel investor puts about $300,000 into a company. But you'll be surprised to know this. The average angel investor makes $90,000 a year. So if I'm speaking to my next door neighbor or a church friend about investing, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, they've worked very hard for their money.
Sure.
And one of the things that we have to do as entrepreneurs is know what their greatest fears are in terms of giving you their capital and actually answer their questions.
It's like you want to be proactive, it sounds like what you're saying is to identify what those fears are and just, come right out with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So some of the common reasons why angels reject deals, and this is a part of a study that was done by EquityNet.com. Some of the common reasons are they don't feel that your franchise can grow sufficiently enough to be able to pay them back. Or there's lack of information about you as the entrepreneur or is about the franchise itself. Or the really, really big one is that they don't trust the team and the management team in particular in order to bring customers in, service those customers sufficiently, create happy customers, and get them coming back more and more and more. Because savvy angel investors, and I'm talking about people that put money into deals about 3 to 10 times a year,
right.
Are what we will call more savvy angel investors. They know that the team is more important than the business idea itself. They also know that if you have no customers, you have no business,
right.
and there are no exceptions to that. So they want to know how are you going to get the customers in, and they want to know that you have a strong enough management team to actually be able to make that happen.
That's interesting, Cheree. I didn't realize that with angel investors, that $90,000 per year. I think so many of us have this perception out there that, they're bringing in millions of dollars every year, don't we?
Yeah, we do. But, in my research in regards to this book, because I am a business girl and a stat person,
right.
I was shocked myself to find this out. And what
That's
we're
amazing.
learning from this is that the angel investor is really the person next door.
Right.
That will look at several deals a year, and they really consider their money as a portfolio, just like a money mutual fund manager looks at a portfolio. An angel investor would consider your business as part of their portfolio as well. So sometimes they may say no because it's just not a great fit for their portfolio.
Sure, absolutely. Is there a good way to identify angel investors, Cheree? I mean, how do people find them? I mean, do they just go on the internet and do a Google search, or what's the best way to identify them?
Well, one thing that you can do is, yes, go on to Google and put in your state and put
right.
in angel investment networks.
Okay.
Now, these are a group of angel investors that get together sometimes once a month, sometimes once a quarter, and they
right.
will hear pitches from business owners in their communities. And I'll tell you this as well. The average angel investor does not like to invest in a business that's more than 4 hours of driving time. So with me, I live in the Northern Virginia area. 4
right.
hours of driving time gives me access to New Jersey,
okay.
Maryland, West Virginia, states like that. For other people, 4 hours, of course, may be a little bit more prohibitive, but
right.
it would really let you know the radius that you have. So looking at angel investment networks, also writing your business plan, writing a strong business plan and a strong executive summary,
yes.
and just reaching out to family and friends because you never know who knows who. Again, I mentioned, churches are a great place. Again, just saying, this is my business, this is what I'm looking to do. You never know who's going to stand up and say, well, I can introduce you to XYZ person. They may be interested in what you have to say.
That's fantastic. I also work with a group, Cheree, they're called the Collegiate Entrepreneurs, and we're having a elevator pitch contest in September, and do you have any advice, for that particular group as far as like making their elevator pitch? I think they have like 2 minutes to make their pitch, and we kind of use that scenario as, you're in front of a bunch of angel investors and you have like 2 minutes or 60 seconds to make your plea for them to invest in your business. What would you say to them?
Well, I would say to include a few things into their elevator pitch. Number one is tell clearly and precisely in a sentence or two what market problem you're solving or what the idea is.
Right.
Okay? The second thing is to let people know, do you have current customers? If you do, how many do you have? What's the average ticket price that the person is spending? The third thing is, mentioning a little bit about your competitive advantage. The fourth thing is mentioning information about your financials, especially if you currently have a business up and running. Or if you don't have a business up and running, saying what you believe the first year, second year financials would be. And then the last thing that I would suggest is practice, practice, practice.
Right.
I always say, if you are asking for $2 million, and $2 million is, of course, a rhetorical number,
Sure.
whatever amount you're asking for, why are you winging it?
Right.
Why don't you really sit down and write exactly what you're going to say and think about it for several days, exactly what you're going to say? Because at the end of the day, angel investors and banks invest in entrepreneurs, and they invest in teams.
Right.
They invest in great leadership. And the more that you're able to show them that you're prepared,
Right.
the better off you are.
Wow, I think that's excellent advice. There's 6 parts, according to your book. There's 6 parts to an investable business plan. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that too, Cheree.
Sure, absolutely. So, part number 1 is you have to tell them the problem you're solving in the marketplace.
Okay.
That includes, what your business idea is, how big the marketplace is. And a great example that I can give you, and this separates an amateur from a real entrepreneur, is let's say that you are selling water.
Right.
Well, the number 1 thing that you may think to say is, well, everyone needs to drink water.
Sure.
But however, a smart angel will know that, number 1, not everyone does drink water, which is why you have Mayor Bloomberg fighting, the whole sugary drinks issue in New York.
Right.
So you have to discount those people. You have to discount people that like vitamin water because they like flavored water.
Right.
Okay? Then you're discounting people that only want Fiji water or a specific brand of water.
True.
So you're really dwindling it down to how many people could we truly say is in our marketplace. And that's what separates you from an amateur to just a really strong entrepreneur.
That's important, direct and indirect competitors. And it will show also, you're right, Cheree, that you're knowledgeable of the market. So I think that's great advice.
Absolutely. And it just shows that you don't think that everyone is your
customer.
Is your customer.
Exactly.
Sure,
absolutely.
Exactly.
That's so important. That's great.
Part 2 is you want to show your customer acquisition and retention plan. Okay? You want to show how you're going to attract, how you're going to convert prospects, how you're going to service your customers, because servicing customers is a huge part of marketing. That's how you get your referrals. That's how you get your raving fans, is in the servicing. Then you want to show how you're going to upsell your customers, and you're going to show how you're going to retain customers, because retention and getting them come back again and again and again, whether it's for pizza or Subway, not only coming back to the Subway franchise as a whole, but coming back to your store. Right. What are you going to do in order to make that happen? So that's part 2, is showing a very strong customer acquisition and retention plan. Then part 3 is showing your team, and not only showing senior team management, but a lot of times the receptionist or the person that you encounter at the front counter will turn a customer off more so than, you have a CEO trying to bring people in the door or through the door. If you've ever gone to a restaurant and the hostess just totally turn you off and you just turn around and leave. So it's very important to show how you're going to take care of hiring not only your senior managers, but also the people that are touching your customers and servicing your customers day to day.
I think that's great, Cheree. Because we don't do that in business plans that often, do we? I mean, a lot of times it seems like the focus is always on senior management and who owns the company, not getting into the specifics. And I teach for Kaplan University, and I always say, the receptionist or the person who's greeting you is really the most important person in the company. So I think think that's great advice. I've never heard of that before, but it's great.
It is great, and I'll give people a little trick to put in their business plans that I heard from a State Farm agent. She actually goes to restaurants and to the mall and finds the greatest customer service young people that she can find.
That's clever.
And she brings them into the business that way.
That's so clever, isn't it?
It is very, very clever. A lot of times, I know young people get a bad rep here. So for all the young people, we love you as older professionals.
Absolutely.
But a lot of times, you want to, for those entry-level positions, you want to hire for attitude and then train versus saying I'm looking for someone that already has 3 years of office experience. No,
Absolutely.
If you have somebody who's a great customer service relational person anyway, you can train them on how to file and how to use the software within your business and things like that. So
great.
So that was the team. The fourth thing is you want to really talk about your competitive advantage and acknowledge your competitors. What are they good at? What are you good at? And how you're going to basically target your niche and show your niche that you have the right solution for them. Part 5 is, of course, the financial projections. You want to show them the money because outside of the executive summary, the second thing that most angels and banks look at is actually your projected financials. And then the final thing is specifically if you're getting angel investment capital or venture capital, you want to tell them how you're going to pay them back. Because with most angels, let me take a step back here. If you have a business where you're not going to have cash flow to pay a bank back every month,
right,
you may decide to get angel investment capital.
Okay.
So what you would do is you would say, by the time we reach X amount of revenues, then we will start paying you back every month.
I see.
Or within 3 years, we're going to have what's called a liquidity event in order to pay you back. And you want to show the angel investor that you have a minimum of 3 ways of getting their money back because they're taking a risk on you.
You're reducing that fear, as you were talking about earlier, that they may have. How am I going to get my money back? And I think that's great.
Absolutely. And you're putting yourself in the position of that angel investor who wants their capital back so that they are able to invest in other businesses.
Wow, that's fantastic. So is it true that investors and banks will say no even if they think your product is a great idea, Cheree? And why would they do that?
Okay, 1,000%. They actually do turn down great ideas.
Okay.
The number one reason is because of an inadequate team, which is why I work with my clients, and I really talk in the book about you have to make sure that you have a fantastic team in place in order to receive financing.
That's interesting.
The second reason, and it's right up there but maybe a little bit less, is having a strong customer acquisition plan. How are you going to get customers through the door?
Right, absolutely. I went to Fairleigh Dickinson for a post-MBA degree in entrepreneurial studies, Cheree, and there was always like angel investors coming in, and it always seemed like they were interested in the tech companies. Is it possible for non-tech companies to get money from angel investors?
Absolutely.
It is, okay.
Absolutely. Think about the local bakery that gets a couple of people in the community to invest in actually expansion of that local bakery. There are a lot of first of all, there are a lot of angel investors that do prefer tech companies, but usually they have a tech background. However, there are a lot of people that don't know technology, but again, if you're the local pizza franchise or the local Subway or the local cleaning company, they would better understand that business than they would creating the next Pinterest. So this, again, goes back to portfolios that angel investors are looking at. And a lot of times an angel investor wants to be able to not only contribute capital, but to contribute, assistance in terms of getting new contracts, or, maybe they're very strong in finance or other aspects of business where they can help you.
That's interesting. So where can business owners find sources of money, Cheree?
A couple of great places to go are, like I said, it's the millionaire next door.
Mm-hmm.
The person that you wouldn't necessarily know is the millionaire is
True.
the best place to go. There's also the ability, if you have a strong enough social network, to consider crowdfunding.
Interesting.
Okay? And let's take a step back. What is crowdfunding? Crowdfunding is, let's say that you want to raise $100,000 in order to get your business up and running. Well, let's say that the average crowdfunder, and I actually got this information from someone that runs a crowdfunding platform, says that the average person invests $50 each. Okay? So if you had 2,000 people invest $50 each, then all of a sudden you have your $100,000.
Wow, that's interesting. I've seen a couple franchises actually getting into that now, Cheree. I was unfamiliar with it, and I think that's interesting. I think a lot of people don't know about crowdfunding, do they?
It's something that has gotten a lot more attention with the Jobs Act that President Obama has passed.
Yeah.
But right now they haven't set up how you can actually exchange equity for the money. But, if you're opening up the local pizza shop, offer somebody, X amount of pizzas when you open, or ability to have a pizza party in your establishment or something like that. People love receiving those types of gifts, and they also love knowing that they are affecting their community.
Absolutely.
Providing jobs within their community. Now, another option that you may want to consider for brick-and-mortar businesses that are local. I just heard about this on Your Business on MSNBC. It's a company called Bolster, and that's spelled BOLSTR.
Okay.
And they have something like a crowdfunding platform, but it's specifically meant for brick-and-mortar retail businesses. And they have it set up where if you invest in a specific business, you're able to share in the revenues of that business.
Wow.
So you may want to check that out as well.
That's interesting. So how are entrepreneurs and readers responding to your book, Cheree?
I've gotten actually rave reviews from entrepreneurs. I actually had one entrepreneur say that he put this book on his short list along with The E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
Wow, that's pretty powerful.
Very powerful. I wrote this book as something that could be read by the poolside or the fireside. It's a very easy read. It will only take you a couple of hours to get through. But even more than entrepreneurs, I wanted to put this book in the hands of angel investors and banks and say, what do you think? And I'm getting great responses. Every angel investor, every banker that I've presented this to has said, you're right on target. This is, no BS. We're giving them the information that they need. And I've actually had a couple of angel investors order multiple books from me and start giving them out to people that come and ask them for funding. So, so if you are actually looking for a book that has been blessed by people that have the money, then this is it.
That's fantastic. And we're going to be recommending the book on the show as well. I'm going to be recommending it to all the collegiate entrepreneurs that I work with, and I think it's a very important book. How can we learn more about, how do we get a copy of your book, Cheree? Where do we get it?
Okay. Well, you come to my website, which is called businessplansthatgetfinanced.com.
Okay.
That's businessplansthatgetfinanced.com. Or if you want to reach out to me personally, let's say that you just have a couple of quick questions about how this information can impact your business specifically, I'll give you my phone number. It's 703-489-4589.
That's fantastic. I want to thank you again, Cheree, for coming on the show. It's nice to finally have you on the show, and I'd really like to invite you back next year, as you continue to sell the book, and I have a feeling you'll be writing some more books in the future as well.
I hope so. Thank you so much, Marty.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, Cheree. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Coming up on segment 2, you're going to hear what every franchipreneur needs to know before buying a franchise. We're going to play a clip from our popular Great Quotes in Franchising podcast right here on Franchise Interviews.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing: helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities, or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822. The Stone Coat Franchise Opportunity. Are you looking for a unique and lucrative franchise opportunity? If so, take a look at Stone Coat. With a patented process which creates a true stone finish on almost any wall or ceiling, Stone Coat is a true game-changing product in the multi-billion-dollar construction industry. Stone Coat is applied faster, cleaner, and cheaper than conventional quarried stone, which saves both time and money. With advantages in remodel and new construction of both residential and commercial projects, Stone Coat is a true crossover product. The Stone Coat franchise opportunity provides a low startup cost, low operating expenses, comprehensive training, ongoing support, and no royalty payments. For more information on the Stone Coat franchise opportunity, go to www.stonecoatfranchise.com. That's www.stonecoatfranchise.com, or call us at 972-380-2700. That's 972-380-2700.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising, where each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. We've been hosting franchise interviews now over 6 years and over 300 shows, and during that time we've had some incredible quotes on the show. Today you're going to get to hear from Ellen Dunn, who is a franchisee to the Wild Birds Unlimited franchise system. And frequently on the show we'll ask our guests, why franchising? Why did you go into franchising? And I thought Ellen's answer was really unique out of all the guests we've had in 6 years. She spoke about the importance of having relationships, and she even thinks of the franchisor and her fellow franchisees as friends. So I thought that was very clever. She also took an assessment of what maybe her possible weaknesses were and her strengths, and she says that the franchise can help her with things like advertising or marketing, which wasn't really in her background. So we're going to play that clip for you right now and enjoy this edition of Great Quotes in Franchising from Franchise Interviews. Here we go.
I left and started my own business. I always had a corporation behind me, right. And I knew that I needed someone that could offer me all the things that I didn't get from the corporate world. And after interviewing several other franchisees, I knew that WBU was where I was going to get all the things as a small business owner that from the corporate world that I couldn't get on my own, such as the HR and the marketing.
Right. So you were sold, or you were convinced on franchising right away, Ellen. You kind of knew that you wanted to be an entrepreneur, but franchising was probably the best alternative for your situation.
Correct, because I didn't have all the expertise for mainly the marketing, the advertising.
Sure. Because
I always had a corporation behind me at my other jobs, so I didn't know how to go about doing all those things on my own. And a franchise is the best way to get get those items.
That's fantastic.
Did you know the
category?
Really well.
Did you know the category was going to be retail, Ellen? I mean, did you know? I mean, there's like 80. I think there's like 80 different industries. A Wild Birds Unlimited franchisee.
Well, that was one of the things I was nervous the most about going out on my own was missing relationship building because, again, coming from very large corporations, I was worried about not having friends.
Sure.
I must say,
that's interesting.
I have tons of friends. All the different store owners, building the relationships with all the store owners here in New England and across the United States. I just have lots of relationships, and the relationships at the Franchise Support Center. I can pick up the phone at any time and call any number of people to talk to and bounce off, crazy ideas that I might be coming up with, and they'll either laugh with me or think that it's a great idea or tell me I'm out of my mind. And it's just been a wonderful support group. And there are people to talk to when you need those different supports, whether it's crisis management or whether it's just somebody to talk to. There's always somebody around that you can talk to or go out and spend an evening with. There's always somebody there to do that. And I really didn't think I was going to have that support group anymore.
It sounds like it's the culture, too, at Wild Birds Unlimited that you enjoy, too, Ellen. And listening to, I've never, in the 6 years of doing that show, I like how you mentioned, use the word friends, which I think is very powerful, the relationship with franchisees and also the relationship with the franchisor. I think that's very powerful what you said. So I think that's fantastic, and it sounds like, as you said, there's always someone to talk to, and you wouldn't get that if you did this on your own, would you? If you called it, Ellen's Birds Unlimited, I guess it would be a lot more lonely experience.
Right. Yeah, so and they are my friends. I mean, Paul is right up there, and I'm just not saying that. Paul's up there, and I mean, any number of them. I mean, I look at them all as my friends, and whenever I think of coming to the end of this relationship at some point, to me it's going to be incredibly sad because they're all my friends, and I value all their friendship and I value their knowledge. They have great ideas. I don't always agree with their ideas, and I don't. And they always go along with that, and they accept when you don't agree with them. I don't know. They don't always like it, but and they always accept the criticism. And I think sometimes they let you go away on your own, and whether it works or whether it doesn't work, that's accepted, which is good to know.
Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you again soon with another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising from Franchise Interviews. Take care, everyone.